you? I'm Rose.
Shadow of Rose started development shortly after the release of Resident Evil Village as an additional story for the game, considering it only started development due to the popular demand for a DLC. In June 2022, it was announced it would be called Shadow of Rose and follow the path of Ethan's daughter Rose, 16 years after his death in the base game. Hearing this, I was actually a bit sad, as I was excited to see more of Rose as a full-on protagonist, maybe for Resident Evil 9. However, the DLC ended up being one of the most enjoyable parts of Resident Evil Village as a whole for me, and thus deserved its own video. The story is where the DLC truly excels, with the story perfectly weaving into gameplay sections to create a story built around trauma and loss. And while Rose is a brand new character, somehow it creates the perfect length story with just the right amount of emotion for it to be memorable. Some gameplay sections are reused and can get repetitive, but they are different enough to be enjoyable compared to the base game. It is even scarier than the base game in my opinion, weaving in horror tropes that make sense to Rose's personal story, and it's all wonderfully done. As always, major spoilers for the entirety of Resident Evil Village and Shadow of Rose, and if you like this sort of content, please like and subscribe as it really helps me out.
I can't believe how useless I am. No wonder no one loves me. What now? This is all your fault! And I will never let you have what you want!
Rose, look out! Don't give up, Rose. Find that crystal.
The story begins 16 years after the events of Village. Rose, born with powerful abilities due to the megamycete infection in both Ethan and Mia, is now a teenager. Rose meets up with codename Kay, who helped bring her up after Ethan's death. After asking her how things were at school, and Rose explaining that the other people think she's a freak and doesn't fit in, he says that there might be a way to remove her powers. Taking her to a lab, he says that Miranda made a purifying crystal that might help weaken or remove her powers completely. To find it, Rose must enter a fragment of the megamycete's consciousness. When she does so, we get this haunting cutscene as she's driven deep into her own psyche.
Oh my god, Rose is so weird.
Yeah, it's like she sees things that aren't there. Creepy.
Stay away from us, you freak.
Imagine wanting to be friends
She's
with her.
definitely
Ew,
not normal.
something just moved on her hand. What's wrong with her?
Shut up!
Rose feels like
Stay away from us, you
freak.
freak. Ew, something just moved on her hand.
Oh, wait.
Just disgusting.
Please just stop!
We awaken the lab again, but this time it's different. As we explore the ominous corridors and find a key to help someone trapped, Rose meets another Rose who leads her deeper into the darkness. After finding more Roses throughout the dungeon, the one we were following gets killed by an enemy known as a Face Eater, and I can see why they're called that. After reaching a dead end, somehow the wall magically disappears and Rose manages to escape from the Face Eaters and ends up in a familiar castle, Castle Demetresque. Here we find the cause of the help, a person who calls himself Michael, who writes words in magical text on the environment to help Rose. Venturing forth, we discover the villain for this section, an evil-looking duke from the base game, who's trying to stop Rose and her copies from getting the purifying crystal. After another chase scene, Michael helps us out by spawning a gun, and we finally have a way to defend ourselves. Heading back into the main room, we find the crystal, which is locked up. We need to find 3 masks to place it on the statue to unlock it. Heading outside, Michael says that we need to use our powers to break the cores to advance, which Rose is not happy about since she wants to get rid of them. With no choice, we have to find an amplifier to make our abilities stronger. This enables Rose to investigate the castle freely, gaining all 3 masks and releasing the crystal. Only when we take it, the Duke appears, saying it's not real, and flings us into a death trap where we have to defeat the Executioner, a scary looking guy. After defeating him, Rose ends up jumping off a cliff as per Michael's advice to escape the rest of the Face Eaters. We land in the village, the Resident Evil village, and Michael tells us to get out while we can, but Rose is adamant on finding the crystal so she won't be labelled as a freak anymore. After getting in an elevator, Michael says something is trying to block his power, and we lose him, being transported into House Beneviento. Here, our weapons are taken away from us, and we have to solve a few puzzles, all revolving around Rose's real-life issues with bullying. Following this is the single most terrifying part of any game I've probably ever played. We have to avoid live mannequins as they chase us around, and they move if you don't continuously look at them. We escape, and then we have a completely new stealth section of hide and seek, where dolls are constantly looking for Rose as she goes deeper. I believe we are supposed to be doll-sized, as everything is huge around us. The mannequin appears here again in her big form, and we once again have to run away, finding Michael at the end who helps us destroy the mannequin. Michael takes us to Rose's family home from when she was an infant, and we start to piece together who Michael really is. We find an emotional letter that Ethan left for Rose.
Happy half-birthday, Rose. My gift to you is a promise. I'll always be there for you, no matter what. I'll be there every birthday to watch you blow out the candles on your cake. I'll be there to make you breakfast and walk you to school every day. I'll be there when you have a bad dream and sing to you until you fall back asleep. I'll hug you tight when you're troubled or worried and tell you that everything's gonna be all right. You are my precious Rose. Never forget that, Dad.
The moment is ruined by Evelyn popping up once again, and we have a boss fight with her, in which Michael helps us defeat her. At the end, there is a cutscene where a man saves Rose, and we finally hear the voice of Ethan Winters, who has been helping Rose all along as Michael. In the village again, we head closer to the Megamycete to finally find the crystal, following an image of ourselves. Finding the real crystal, our powers begin to fade away. However, we're interrupted by none other than Miranda. She reveals that she disguised herself as Kay at the start, luring Rose into her psyche to finally use her as a vessel again for Eva. Finally, Ethan appears again in his human form, and he helps you escape. With Rose's power disappearing, Ethan tries to convince her to leave, saying that she won't be made fun of again. But Rose, seeing Ethan getting stabbed by Miranda, decides to make her own choice.
Don't worry, Dad. I've got this.
She smashes the crystal, making her powers come back at a stronger level. Fighting Miranda, Ethan helps us for the last time to take her down once and for all. We get a heartfelt conversation with Ethan, one that she never thought she would get, and get transported back into reality, with Ethan's ring being a memory of it all. The final scene is the same from the main game, but now with the added context, it makes so much more sense. From the surface, the story seems quite mediocre and easy to work out, at least with the whole reveal of Ethan. Evelyn and Miranda being villains once again is a little disappointing considering they were already used. However, digging a little deeper, the story has so many heartbreaking implications that I really want to explore, and Rose is a truly deep, fascinating character, considering how little time we get to spend with her. A story of trauma, loss, and acceptance of herself.
Rose? Because she's a freak.
Hey!
She has those crazy powers. Just like her dad. That's why she doesn't have any friends.
Shut up!
You know it's true. What is wrong with her? She's afraid. Look at her.
No.
Afraid of what she might turn into.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
This DLC is all about Rose, and while I will talk about other characters, I'm going to weave them into her story analysis as they are minor. First, let's talk about Kay and Rose at the beginning. Kay is a close ally of Rose, and after the death of Ethan, he helped raise her alongside Chris. It is unknown where Mia is in this entire DLC, which is a bit disappointing considering her character was a great addition to the Resident Evil 7 especially. With Rose technically being a bioweapon, Kay and Chris decided to put her through training, and therefore put a lot of time and effort into working with her. Kay mentions Rose's powers and it clearly affects Rose, saying that she isolates herself at school as she gets called a freak. This evolves in the House Beneviento section, so more on that later. Miranda knew that Rose trusts Kay, and therefore decided to disguise herself as him, to lure Rose into her realm of consciousness in the hopes that Rose can remove her powers. This unfortunately worked once again, taking Rose deeper into her psyche as she hallucinates. Kay is essentially used as a way into Rose, and that's all there really is to him. Rose discovers herself over and over again, with them losing their lives countless times. To me, this has a deeper meaning, that Rose essentially feels so low of herself because of her powers affecting her life, so much so that she won't be successful in her task to get rid of them. It casts doubt on her, and she has to rise above that. This is seen when Duke appears as the villain, as one of Rose's other selves is unable to escape to get the purifying crystal. As for the Duke, like the other villains, he is underwhelming. In a note towards the end in Miranda's lab, it is explained that he was created by Miranda herself, and that she used him as a stress test for the other test subjects, which all happens to be copies of Rose. Perhaps she did this so she could prepare for when Rose actually made it into the realm of consciousness. The castle section is all about this, and the fight at the end isn't even with the Duke, rather an enemy he is controlling. Afterward, the Duke just disappears from existence, which is strange as he could have been way more interesting. The revisit to the Beneviento house is the highlight for me. This whole section delves deep into Rose's feelings, and is portrayed by using puzzles and the environment. It's really well crafted. The first section has you collect statues of children and place them on scenes, and these scenes are all of Rose getting bullied in one way or another. Each scene gets progressively worse, with one with Rose being pestered in the bathroom, and another where Rose is receiving a gift from what she considers her friends, only to get water chucked on her as a cruel joke. The saddest one is the final one, where Rose is seen tied to a wood and burnt at the stake, and the dolls laughing at her as she dies a painful death.
Seriously. Fuck you.
Obviously, her getting burnt at the stake didn't happen in real life, but the bullying she has suffered is so traumatic that in her mind, this is exactly how she feels. The next section is just as powerful at portraying emotions, as Rose is now in a small world with big dolls around her. She has to play hide and seek, hiding away from all the people tormenting her. And if she gets caught, the torment continues, once again highlighting the trauma she has faced in school due to her being different. In the running sequences where you're being chased by the large mannequin, heads pop up everywhere, continuing to laugh at Rose and make nasty remarks at her.
I gotta get out of here.
So you're the girl without any friends. We want to play with you.
Leave me alone!
Evelyn makes a reappearance briefly, and while she seems a little unnecessary, she actually sort of has importance in Rose's storyline, and it all ties in with Mia, who, once again, I really wish was in this DLC. In Resident Evil 7, Mia took on the job of containing Evelyn on the ship we see in the game. It turns out that Evelyn actually saw Mia as her own mother and had a lot of affection for her. Tying this into Rose's story, Evelyn is potentially jealous of the fact that Rose is Mia's biological daughter, and therefore shows up in Rose's subconscious as an enemy, completely envious of Rose's existence. This is also seen in Evelyn's boss fight, where she says many things to Rose, including that if she had never been born, things would have been perfect, linking once again to her jealousy. Michael, the mysterious text-writing person, is built up nicely as Rose heads deeper into her subconscious. At first, Rose doesn't trust Michael, understandably so, but as Michael helps out more, revealing paths to help Rose escape and giving her useful items, she becomes more open and thankful he's there. After the doll section specifically is where we find more information about Rose's early childhood and who Michael really is. As he takes Rose into her childhood home, the one Ethan and Mia lived in. You can inspect all sorts of items here, with Ethan's thoughts projected through them. A particularly powerful moment is when Rose reads the letter Ethan wrote her. In Evelyn's boss fight, there is a moment where Evelyn says to Rose that she is worthless and has no friends, and Michael writes on the staircase that Rose has him. It's a really sweet detail. After this, it's revealed that Michael is actually Ethan, which is pretty obvious. However, they still manage to make the moment memorable. Ethan comes out fully fledged in human form at the end, when we have to fight off Miranda. I don't think I need to talk about Miranda, as she's doing the exact same thing as the base game, trying to use Rose as a vessel to revive her daughter Eva. If you would like a little bit more info on her, check out my video analysis of Resident Evil Village. When Miranda is chasing us, Ethan consistently defends us from her attacks, once again cementing his need to save his family's life over his own. Rose decides to keep her power in order to defeat Miranda, and to spend the only time she ever will with her deceased father. It is deeply sentimental as Rose finally comes to terms with her inner demons and realizes that she's just born different, and that she can learn to live with it no matter what people think of her.
Hey, sweetie.
Oh my god!
You're so grown up now. And even though I wasn't there with you, I've always watched over you. I'm so sorry I couldn't protect you.
All you've ever done is protect me.
No. Not this time. You lost your chance. I'm so sorry.
No. It was my choice. And I don't regret it one bit. If I had left you, then we never would have had this chance to talk face to face.
The only thing that bothers me about this whole bit is the fact that Ethan's face had to be covered at all costs, which end up making the scene a bit strange as they use certain camera angles to hide him. The final scene finally makes sense, as it's the same as the base game, but with the new added knowledge of Rose's story. Rose is seen leaving flowers on Ethan's grave after finally talking to him, and Ethan is seen in the distance, continuing to watch over her in his afterlife. Overall, Rose throughout the story explores every aspect of her consciousness, and it's told in a beautiful way that really makes you feel sorry for her, even though we don't know that much about her.
Seriously? Where am I gonna get a gun? What, like this?
This DLC has a relatively short runtime of around 3 to 4 hours, but they managed to pack quite a few different enemy types and mechanics into it. Firstly, we have the castle section, which is the most similar section to the base game. Here there's these enemies called face eaters, who quite literally suck the life out of anything. These guys are quite slow, but if they get to you, there's no stopping them from stealing a bit of your soul. They're honestly quite annoying, and oftentimes I couldn't be bothered to kill them to preserve ammo. They have a pretty cool design, a husk of a body that walks around creepily. The castle featured many of these, as well as a couple of puzzles, which weren't anything special, but were quite significant thematically. In particular, there's this statue puzzle with different depictions of dead roses, and a riddle to push them in the right order. What is a simple puzzle ends up really being quite symbolic to Rose's perception of herself and what others think of her. There's also another puzzle where you order paintings based on predator and prey. It's all very fitting with the storyline. The executioner boss was quite fun, but what made it annoying was that he spawned ads. I died a bunch of times until I just learned to take out the ads with bombs. You need to shoot core points on his body, all while dodging his fast attacks. Slowing him down with Rose's powers really helped. For me, the Beneviento house section is by far the best. Once again, you are stripped of all your weapons like in the base game, and it's split into 2 sections. The first section is a bunch of puzzles, in which Rose has to find dolls to place on different dioramas. It's simple, but as previously mentioned, it's really symbolic as part of the storytelling. The best enemy by far is the living mannequins found in this section. When first meeting them, they are weeping angels, and they only move if you're not looking at them. Everything about them is perfect. The glowing eyes, the janky movement and placement makes this short section the best and most terrifying part in the DLC. The second part of this section is in the same location, but Rose is now tiny compared to the environment. This is where hide and seek comes into play, as well as the doll enemies. They patrol certain routes and only damage you if you get in their line of sight. Hiding is key, and it made the section very different and interesting, as it's not something done often in Resident Evil. I honestly loved this, it gave me Little Nightmare vibes. Evelyn appears as a boss fight, but it's more of a duck and hide and press a button to attack. There's no shooting here, you just use Rose's power to take her down, and when she attacks, you hide behind furniture. It's a bit lackluster, but it does have a different vibe, which makes me not dislike it. Miranda's boss fight is sort of similar to the base game, only you can now use your powers in different ways to take her down. You can slow her like you can the other enemies, temporarily stunning her to get extra damage in, but you can also dodge attacks and absorb Miranda's projectiles. It made for a fun final boss fight.
So, what am I supposed to do with this thing? Focus? Alright.
Rose's power is a massive part of the mechanics, and her powers get progressively stronger throughout the game. This starts with being able to destroy these cores on flowers, which is the most important aspect of her powers. Many sections had this red goo, which could only be cleared after breaking the cores, or you could break a vase to get a valuable item. A good use of this mechanic was in chase scenes with the mannequin enemy. It added a layer of tension, having to actively destroy the cores to progress or else you will get caught. There was also a small section where the Duke throws you into a room with loads of cores, and you have to figure out which ones to destroy on a time limit. Once again, adding tension as you have to frantically try destroying everything. The next power-up Rose gets is the ability to slow and stun enemies. This was extremely useful in boss fights in particular, enabling you to get some good hits in while the enemy is immobilized. If a face eater manages to latch onto you, you can also use this ability to get out of the attack instead of taking damage, which is nice. This is where the white sage comes into play, a consumable that is needed to perform these attacks, which are limited in supply. This gave it a nice balance, as you had to think about when to use these attacks over just trying to bypass or kill an enemy. The final powers Rose gets are in the final boss fight with Miranda, as previously mentioned. Miranda's attacks are brutal, so being able to dodge is great, and absorbing her attacks was also neat, as it replenishes your white sage bar. Overall, her powers were a nice touch to make the DLC play a bit differently, and they fit in well with Rose's character, although they seem a little bit out of place for a Resident Evil game, and I can see why some people didn't enjoy this mechanic from a lore perspective. The environmental detail in this DLC was outstanding, and the sound design really helped it to come together as a truly terrifying, emotional story. While they did reuse places from the base game, they changed the vibe substantially to make it feel different. Take the castle, for example. A lot of places are shrouded in darkness, with enemies lurking around corners. In the base game, you would most likely see them coming, but this is different. The reddish goop everywhere with these literal face eaters that suck the soul out of you. It just feels way scarier even though Lady Dimitrescu isn't following you about. In particular, there's a hallway full of dead roses strung up on the walls. The tense atmosphere throughout with the looming sense of dread sort of noises. I don't even know how to explain it, but it really captures that horrifying feeling. And this is what most of the soundtrack is like. It's not nice music to listen to in the background, it's almost like a bunch of sounds that captivate the environment that Rose is in. Here is a few examples.
So many bodies. What the hell?
In the Benevento house, there's a slow build of atmospheric scenery. Hands hanging on the ceiling, scribbles on the wall, and a mannequin that follows you around but is eerily still. All this leading on to the Weeping Angel mannequin section. This was way more scary than the baby in the base game in my opinion. The environment here is dark, and having to constantly look at the enemy while navigating tight corners adds so much more tension to it. Pair that with the eerie, squeaky footsteps that they make. It's absolutely horrifying in all the right ways. The doll section has a particular song that I really enjoyed. You may recognise it from earlier in the video. It sounds like it's straight out of Alice Madness Returns. It's creepy and on theme with the area. All the dolls giggling at Rose added to the creepiness.
If they see me, I'm toast. There's gotta be something I can do.
Did you hear that? Get her.
I'm back. I'm back. Dad.
While it would have been great to see more of Rose rather than her only getting a short DLC, Capcom managed to capture so much symbolism into Rose's deepest traumas. The world building based on Rose's subconscious and her finally accepting herself despite what people think of her is so powerful. Pair that with the atmospheres created by these haunting scenes, it really cements it as a fantastic story-driven DLC for Resident Evil Village. If you liked this video, please hit the subscribe button as there'll be more to come. Thank you for watching.